Peace, world peace. Welcome back to Goddess Dawn Speaks, aka the $1 trillion Goddess Baby. Oh, I have a bell. I'm at a satellite location, so I don't have all of my bells and whistles. But I'm coming to you real quick with a filing by the prosecutors, and we're talking the Diddy case. Can you give me a one, wow, Wayne, if you can hear me? Give me a one in the chat, please. Are you there, Wow Wayne? Or anybody? Give me a one in the chat. So I'm checking my audio microphone. Check 1 2 1 2. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to call. Do I need to call? Okay. Thank you. You might be a little bit back in the replay. Okay. I'm just making sure I don't have my mic, but I'm gonna read. It's a 2-page document, and it's just the government responding to the judge asking for more information regarding Investigator 1, as well as regarding the MDC jail sweep. So for anybody who is a paperwork nerd like me, or my people who will be in this replay, I'm pretty sure, but you're a document nerd, and we are staying on top of this Diddy RICO case, right? So the last thing was the judge asking for more information from the government regarding this jail sweep. The government was being accused by the defense of quite a few things, but number one, targeting Diddy in that jail sweep by having Investigator 1 be present and taking photos and things of Diddy's bunk area and locker. They're saying his constitutional or his rights, I don't know which rights, civil rights, constitutional rights, have been compromised. They want to throw the case out, or if anything, or if nothing less, get bond. So the judge is weighing this out. In the meantime, he said, we will not use those notes. There's a whole question about these notes, child, that they say that Investigator 1, who is the same investigator who is doing the monitoring of Diddy, his phone and emails and texts. This is the person who has been monitoring and reporting back to the prosecution about his breaking the jail rules, which probably nailed that coffin shut tight with regard to getting bond. So this investigator was also present at the jail sweep and was specifically responsible for taking the pictures of the notes. I think it said things to do on the cover, but the defense, when they got wind that these pictures were taken, see that they had initially complained that his notes were taken, confiscated, which was not true. And that also tells you that the defense really moves really fast without really having all the facts. They brought this to the judge saying that they took his notes, and they were legal notes that were his defense strategy. It had legal written on there, as a matter of fact, and the government should know better than to get hands or eyes or anything on anything between him and his lawyers. That's all confidential. So the judge took it in consideration, and what do you know? The judge had to come back and tell those mofos, you lied to my face. There was no legal anything on that notebook because the pictures say so. Remember, the pictures were taken before the defense even found out about this. So anyway, they lied and got called out, but they still want a whole hearing about this jail sweep situation and the notes and everything. So the judge said, in the meantime, we'll keep them in a vault. We can't use them. Let's keep it moving. I'll let you know what I think. He came back about a week ago and said, to the government, I need more information. I need more information, more detailed information about this investigator one and their role in this. And what was the whole thing about anyway? Did you know about it beforehand? So the government has now responded, and I'm going to read the response. Hope everybody's doing well on this Saturday. I'm so glad it's Saturday, the weekend. I'm actually off the grid this weekend, in case anybody who I actually talked to is listening. I have put myself in a self-imposed boot camp, a writing boot camp, because I have a book. My deadline is coming up, and I'm so far behind on where I'm supposed to be. So I'm going to be hunkering down. I am going to the movies tonight, though. I'm going to go see that SZA Keke Palmer movie, one of them days. That's it. And then I'm back to it. All right. So let me take this picture down so you can see that I am reading. I might leave the picture up. I guess it don't matter. But here's the document. I'll just go ahead and leave that up. For anybody coming in who might have jumped into the middle of this, we are reading a 2-page letter from the government to the judge in the Diddy case. This is Judge Subramanian. He asked for more information about Investigator 1 and the MDC jail sweep based on the defense's crying and bitching and saying Diddy was targeted and that his rights have been violated. Whoop-de-whoop, whoop-de-wop. All right. Okay, so this is a declaration. This is part of a 2-part affidavit they had submitted, because the judge also wanted affidavits. The judge wanted them to legally say, we didn't do nothing wrong. One of them, the one that they sent with this one, is sealed. Has information in there. I think it has the investigator's name and all this stuff. And we're not privy to that. All right. So we're talking state of New York, county of New York, Southern District of New York, United States versus Sean Combs. Christy Slavic. So this is the prosecutor who's putting her name on this document. She hereby declares under penalty of perjury. Okay. So I'm not going to read all this stuff, but just the important stuff. Number 1, I have been an assistant United States attorney in the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York since approximately November 2019. And that's interesting, because that's right. I believe that was, no, never mind. I'm wrong. Let me keep going. I have been a member of and we're calling this the USAOSDNY. I'm just going to say the Southern District, okay? I've been a member of the Southern District team responsible for investigating, charging, and trying the present case. It says the prosecution team since approximately August 2024. I submit this declaration in response to the court's order of January 3rd, 2025. And in support of the government's opposition to the defendant's motion of December 4th, 2024. All right, so that motion from the defendant came in December 4th. The court ordered this information January 3rd. So mind you, we had the holidays in between there, so some of that time was down. All right, number 2. This affidavit is based upon my personal knowledge, as well as my review of relevant communications and my conversations with other members of the prosecution team and supervisors from the Southern District. Where the contents of statements and conversations of others are reported herein, they are reported in substance and in part, except where otherwise indicated. So she basically goes on to say, number 3, based on my discussions with a Southern District unit chief who directly supervises the prosecution team and the prosecution of the defendant, Supervisor 1. the defendant. Oh, okay. I have learned that on or about October 10th, 2024, Bureau of Prisons, or BOP, personnel contacted Supervisor 1 and informed her that a BOP intelligence analyst, Investigator 1, now Investigator 1 is really the one that's at hand here, okay? Informed her that BOP intelligence analyst, Investigator 1, had been monitoring the defendant's communications from the MDC and had found apparent attempts to circumvent monitoring, as well as the use of coded language and possible attempts to engage in witness intimidation. That same day, Supervisor 1 requested transactional data. Example, the defendant's email and phone contact list and defendant's emails from the BOP, and I served the BOP with a grand jury subpoena for non-attorney phone calls placed to or informed from the defendant. Non-attorney phone calls being key. Since that time, I have been the member of the prosecution team primarily responsible for liaising with the BOP, including Investigator 1. So she's establishing where she intersected with the people who are being in question, okay, with regard to this sweep. Number 4, on or about October 13, 2024, I spoke with Investigator 1, who provided an overview of some of the defendant's calls that he had monitored. Okay, so I'll need to go back real quick because what was the date of the actual sweep? Okay, I don't think, okay. Investigator 1 also detailed the unauthorized methods of communications the defendant was using, including other inmates' PAC numbers, using three-way calling, and using a third-party messaging service. I spoke with Investigator 1 on several other occasions in October and November 2024. And we're talking before the sweep and after. So number 5, planning for the sweep, MDC sweep. Let me actually check in over here real quick. Okay. Based on my discussion with another Southern District Unit Chief who does not supervise the prosecution team or otherwise have involvement in the defendant's prosecution, Supervisor 2, I have learned that beginning in or around June and July 2024, BOP and the United States Department of Justice Office of the Inspector General, the DOJ and the OIG for short, began planning a large-scale search of the MDC for contraband, and we're calling this the MDC sweep. The BOP and DOJ and OIG, who were responsible for the execution of the MDC sweep, hosted a series of status calls with participating federal agencies, as well as representatives from the Southern District and the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York. Supervisor 2 was present on these calls. Now remember, Supervisor 2 is unaffiliated, she's saying, to her department as well as to the case, okay? Number 6, based on my conversations with members of the prosecution team, I have learned that no member of the prosecution team was involved in the planning of the MDC sweep. Nobody on her prosecution team, she's saying. Further, as described in paragraph 7 infra, prior to October 8, 2024, no member of the prosecution team was aware of the MDC sweep. So that sweep went ahead on October 28th, 2024. The actual sweep now, 28th of October to November 1st, 2024. Number 7, based on my review of email communications, I learned that on or about October 28, 2024, the BOP and other federal agencies began executing the planned MDC sweep. That day, after the MDC sweep was already in progress, members of the prosecution team learned of the MDC sweep when Supervisor 2 sent an email to all Assistant United States Attorneys, AUSAs, in the Criminal Division of the Southern District. It was an office-wide email. And Supervisor 2 is, again, not affiliated to this case nor to this team. The office-wide email informed AUSAs that the MDC sweep was a pre-planned, large-scale search of the MDC in response to persistent contraband issues at the MDC. It is further stated that the MDC sweep was not the result of any specific intelligence or threat. So they're saying this thing was being planned in June or July, and Diddy had not been arrested till September. Now, the sweep itself was scheduled for October. So, I mean, I don't, just to be, with open eyes to everything, you could say they have been looking at Diddy for, they raided him in March. They probably knew they were going to be indicting him at some point. June or July, maybe they could have been planning to make sure we have a plan in place for a good, nice sweep once he's in there and comfortable. So we'll plan that for about late October? That'll be perfect. I'm just saying. We can't just say, oh, they're so innocent. But at the same time, they're working within the guidelines of the law of what they're doing. Their processes and procedures are well, I'm sure, within the guidelines. Okay. So she also said, it further stated the MDC sweep was not a result of any specific intelligence or threat. Okay, so she's saying we didn't know anything prior to that sweep driving us to do that sweep. It was simply for contraband and whatnot. I also understood from the office-wide email that it was expected that contraband, narcotics, weapons, and electronic devices could be seized from Southern District defendants during the MDC sweep, and that AUSAs may be contacted about contraband seized from defendants in their assigned cases. Number 8, based on my conversations with Supervisor 2, who described above, is not part of the prosecution team, but had a role in coordinating with those responsible for planning the MDC sweep. So this is the go-between is Supervisor 2. Supervisor 2 is a unit chief, but not associated with this case specifically or this team, but is a middle person between, or a person who goes between the sweep planners and the AUSA, the prosecution team as a whole, like the whole, let me make sure. Yeah, she's communicating with them, but I don't think it's official because she's not a part of the team or the case. It's just about the sweep in general. She sent an office-wide email letting everybody know what was going down. So in case you want to hit us back up after it's over and see if anything came up from any of your people, feel free, or we may contact you actually. And that probably is what happened. Okay, so Supervisor 2 was at the MDC on or about October 28, 2024, and on or about the morning of October 9, 2024, to ensure legal issues involving Southern District defendants were addressed and to relay information to the Southern District AUSAs prosecuting defendants from whom the contraband had been seized. So there you go. She's the go-between and the one reporting on what was what. Number 9, based on my review of public reporting, I'm aware on October 28, 2024, various media outlets reported that there was an interagency operation at the MDC where Sean Combs, the defendant, was housed. Authorities launched interagency operation at federal jail in New York housing Sean Diddy Combs. Associated Press, October 28, 2024, and they have the link. Based on my conversations with Supervisor 2, I've learned that on or about the morning of October 29, 2024, following the completion of the first day of the sweep, representatives from the BOP, federal agencies, the Southern District, Supervisor 2, and Eastern District met regarding the ongoing execution of the sweep and discussed various issues that had arisen, including the amount of time that the search was taking and a potential search of a unit located in the East Building of the MDC, Unit 1. Unit 1 is a non-general population unit where the defendant, along with other inmates, is housed. The agencies conducting the search inquired into, among other things, the position of the Southern District and the Eastern District regarding the potential search of Unit 1. Supervisor 2 responded that he had understood the MDC sweep would include searching Unit 1, but that he would confer with senior leadership at the Southern District. Number 11, based on my conversations with Supervisor 1 and Supervisor 2 and my review of communications, I have learned that on or about October 29th, Supervisor 2 informed Supervisor 1 that the sweep of the west side of the MDC was taking longer than expected, and it was unclear whether the east side of the MDC would be searched. Supervisor 1 informed Supervisor 2 that, in her view, the MDC sweep should include the east side of the MDC and as planned, in part because of what the prosecution team had learned regarding the defendant's conduct at MDC. So they are saying that the decision about it was in play, but then somehow it wasn't in play because it was taking too long overall, and they were not going to do it. But then they said, well, wait a minute now, because he's breaking the rules, and we need to see, if he could have other things happening. All right, so it goes on. At the request of Supervisor 2, Supervisor 1 conferred with Southern District senior leadership about the search of the east side of the jail. This conversation included in substance that the sweep was taking longer than expected and did not include discussion of the defendant. Thereafter, Supervisor 1 relayed to Supervisor 2 that the position of the Southern District was that MDC sweep should stick to the original plan to search the entire jail. Supervisor 2 relayed to other personnel present at the MDC in substance that the sweep of Unit 1 should proceed as planned. I'm confused as to why it was a whole thing about it, because so what, it was taking too long or longer than planned. Didn't you take into consideration the length of time it would take when you planned the thing in the first place? You've been planning it for months and months ahead. So you're telling me that now it's taking too long and you don't want to search Unit 1 where all the high profile rich people are? Who put that in play? Who said that? Okay, number 12. Number 12. Okay, so this is how they're going to do it. Now they're going to go forward. Number 12, based on my conversations with Supervisor 1 and Supervisor 2, I have learned that no Southern District personnel directed how the search of Unit 1 would be conducted, or whether any particular bunk within Unit 1 or any particular inmate's possession should be searched. But then they said, well, we have to search it, and they even conferred with their senior people because they wanted to talk to them about how was it necessary or not. So now they're saying they didn't have him on the list. Okay. I'm sorry. That's just, come on. Other than Supervisor 2, who is not a part of the prosecution team, no Southern District personnel had awareness of the specific details of the MDC sweep's operational plan, other than Supervisor 2. Based on my November 3rd, 2024 communications with Investigator 1, now mind you, the sweep ended November 1st, so this is post-sweep. With Investigator 1 described infra at paragraph 16, I have learned that Unit 1 on the east side of the MDC was searched on November 1. Oh, well, they didn't say that yet, but I knew that. Yeah, so they let them know, okay, the search for Unit 1 was done on the 1st. Number 14, based on my conversations with Supervisor 2, I have further learned that neither Supervisor 2 nor any other Southern District personnel directed or was aware during the search of Unit 1 that the defendant's bunk area or possessions would be searched in any manner inconsistent with the BOP's overall plan to execute the MDC sweep to locate contraband. Neither Supervisor 2 or any other Southern District personnel directed that any of the defendant's possessions be seized or photographed, or were aware of whether that occurred until after the search of Unit 1. 15. Based on my participation in this prosecution, with my conversations with other members of the prosecution team, I know that prior to and during the MDC sweep, no member of the prosecution team communicated with Investigator 1 or any other BOP personnel or federal agents conducting in any part of the MDC sweep about the search of Unit 1 until after it had concluded. Number 16, this is about the prosecution team communications with Investigator 1 following the MDC sweep. Okay, number 16, on or about November 3rd, 2024, following the completion of the MDC sweep, prosecution team first became aware of Investigator 1's involvement in the MDC sweep through a phone call between myself and Investigator 1. Investigator 1 informed me that he had spent time in the defendant's unit, Unit 1, and checked the defendant's bunk area for contraband, including cell phones. Investigator 1 also informed me that he took photographs of certain of the defendant's papers and an address book, and they're calling that BOP notes. Investigator 1 provided a high-level overview of the contents of the BOP notes, including the defendant's plans to discredit possible witnesses and find dirt on people. So they're saying he wrote that in his notebook. Number 17, at the conclusion of the November 3rd, 2023 call, I requested the Investigator 1 send the BOP notes directly to the AUSA leading the filter team, the team charged with reviewing material that may contain attorney communications or work product. By email later that day, Investigator 1 informed that he had sent the BOP notes directly to the filter team, AUSA. So they said that they had photos, so I'm assuming they took those photos instead of giving them the actual notes. They're the ones that took the photos, the filter team, or the filter team told Investigator 1, well, it's okay, but take pictures. Okay, this is signed by Christy Slavic, United States Attorney's Office, Southern District of New York, and this is from January 17, 2025. That was just yesterday, Friday, New York, New York. So that's the update, and I don't know why I said it was 2 pages in the beginning because it was 7. So this is for the paperwork nerds. That's what it is. Hey, Michelle. Thank you, Wayne. And that's going to do it for me for now. Till next time. Bye.